So we got us a beer from the Yukon Brewing Company. The Bonanza Brown at 5% alcohol by volume. Guessing that this is maybe a different brown ale than the one that was in the sampler pack before, or whatever. Not too sure. It's been a long time since I had that beer, so I won't be able to tell you for sure. I've already had a couple of these beers. So, yeah. Pretty impressed with everything from Yukon that I've had, especially the Honey ESB. It was pretty awesome. So if you're into ESBs, you're probably going to want to give that one a try. Alright. We'll pour this slightly epically. Okay, so getting pretty much typical craft brew aroma on it. It's got quite a lighter colored head for color of the beer. Whoops, quite transparent up at the top here, looking kind of maybe like there isn't a whole ton of brown malts in it. Like 5%, really easy drinking. Very low in the hops. Very nice malts. It's a really nice, sweet, malty type characteristic. Very. It doesn't taste so much caramel. It's a little bit browner than that. You know, a little more roasted, but a lot of flavor coming out of that. It's a little bit on the malty side for me. Maybe not quite dry enough for me. Head's dissipating rapidly. Didn't get much out of the pour. I was could have poured more vigorously for sure, but you never know. Sometimes it's better to err on the side of caution. Sweet mouthfeel. It's a good beer. I think it'd be an excellent session beer for this on draft at places and stuff. Probably a little bit better than this. It is pretty good, but really the aftertaste is where you're getting like a really amazing malt flavor. But it's pretty flat. Like for me, I would typically like a little more hop. Well, not a little bit, a lot more hops even like in this. It would give it a better head and all that. But like I said, this is the one. I think they do have another brown ale if I'm not mistaken. So I do really like the Yukon Red. It's a really good beer from them as well. So, yeah, it's a little bit typical in a way, and then a little bit outside. But I'm a bit of a hophead. Like even when it comes to brown ales and stouts and shit, like throw hops in those beers. Like just because it's a stout doesn't mean you can't, load it up with hops, because some of those are really good. But if you don't like hops, like it's slightly malty and easy, but easy drinking because it's thin bodied. Like whatever malt is in there is a serious malt. But you can tell by that the thinness is like very porter-esque with a transparency to it. So it's a little bit kind of a strange beer. It is definitely unique. So yeah, on that note, it is kind of good, and then in some ways it's kind of like maybe not rugged and like hearty enough for me. Like typically we want something a little bit heavier in a brown ale, like I say, a little more hops in it, a little more rugged, a little more brown malts in there for sure. Maybe not as malty, not as sweet. Like this is sweet malty. It's not a dry beer. Yeah, not at all. It's just very malty and sweet at 5%. So it's like, but nothing, and it's not carrying the alcohol or anything. So it's not like a Scottish heavy. It's like a little bit below that. It's kind of weird. I'm kind of having a bit of a Strange episode here trying to describe this beer, which is, I've had a couple already, but I maybe didn't put too much thought into it. It's probably a lot colder as well. This is warmed up quite a bit, so probably has a lot to do with it. So I would recommend drinking this cold, quite cold, like how you drink your lagers cold. It would be a lot better that way. Not my favorite beer from Yukon, I don't think, but it's definitely a drinkable. Like, you know, if you're in a bar and they have it or something, drink it, whatever. But if I was gonna go deliberately buy a 6-pack Yukon, I would get the Midnight Sun Espresso Stout, or the Yukon Red, or a lot of these other ones over this one. I think a lot of their other beers are really cool. I would definitely pick up their sampler pack. That's a really good idea. And but all in all, this is definitely a passable beer. It's just not what I want in a brown ale, which is okay. Somebody probably likes this. See, no head left. There's like 0 hops in here. Like, I'm not picking out any hops at all. There's a maltiness. That's it. That's it. That's just a little bit. It's malty water. It's carbonated. No alcohol. Wow, this is a great beer for people that like a blander beer in a brown ale. But like I said, it's just the opposite, polar opposite of everything I want in a brown ale. I want a dry brown ale with lots of, like, at least a fair bit of Goldings or something in there. Some type of English style hop generally, or even Cascade. I mean, fuck, that's awesome too, like a Cascadian type brown ale. I want to taste the alcohol in it, you know, and like a little bit. So it's just not my thing at all. But not really too many flaws, unless I call those flaws like for personal taste. But I would say it's a little disappointing though, really, from Yukon. But the one thing that does really shine through is that big malty flavor you're getting in the finish. Is pretty like outstanding. Like it's one of the maltier tasting beers that's still below Scottish heavy thing. It doesn't taste like a Scottish heavy at all. It's different. It's lower, and there's like no alcohol, and it's weird. So I'm gonna give it 8.5 out of 11. But I'm not gonna, like, I was gonna tell you, don't let it reflect too much on their other beers. They have a lot of really cool shit, and, like, definitely if you're into ESBs and you have the Yukon Honey ESB available, definitely check that out, because that is a beer you're gonna want to drink warm. Absolutely not warm, but you know, warmer. That is an outstanding ESB. Beerzerker, and I'm out. Yeah!